Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Shanakshi Chakravarti. Unfortunate news continues from the valley where series of targeted killings continues. On a day when a Kashmiri Pandit was shot dead and his brother injured in firing by terrorists at an apple orchard in the Shopian district, government sources said that the attack was carried out by two terrorists linked to a group that calls itself Al-Badr. The victim, Sunil Kumar's family, was one of those families who never migrated from Kashmir even during the 1990s when the militancy was at its peak. After recent targeted killings, a Jammu and Kashmir police guard was stationed outside their home. This comes about 3 months after the killing of a Kashmiri Pandit at a government office in Budgam sparked widespread protests by the community. It doesn't end there. According to sources, the government is bracing for more such violence based on inputs.
The grieving family of Sunil Kumar Bhatt, a Kashmiri Pandit killed by terrorists in a targeted attack. Bhatt and his brother Pintu Kumar were in their apple orchard in Shopian when two terrorists came, asked their names and shot them point blank. 35-year-old Sunil leaves behind 4 daughters and his wife. Sunil's brother is in the army base hospital in Srinagar. Their angry relatives heckled Kashmir's divisional commissioner saying they too feared an attack and wanted to be relocated.
मैं 4 बार ड्यूकॉम के पास गया, डीसी के पास गया, उन्होंने एक बात ये हमारी नहीं सुना, बोला अपने गांव में बैठो, उधरी मारो, उधरी करो अपना काम. इसलिए आज हमें ये देखना पड़ा. उनको बोला यहाँ हर जगह सीआरपी डाली, हर जगह पुलिस डाला, यहाँ क्या दिया हमें.
Kashmir's divisional commissioner says Pandit families who are living in Chotigam village had asked for security after a Kashmiri Pandit shopkeeper was killed last April, but he denies that they asked to be relocated.
उन्होंने कहा कि हम यहाँ से नहीं जा सकते, खेती बाड़ी है, तो हमने वहाँ गांव में पुलिस की गार्ड लगाई है. अभी भी गार्ड वहाँ है कहने पर. ये नॉन माइग्रेंट कश्मीरी पंडित है, कभी 30 साल में माइग्रेट नहीं हुए.
Soon after today's incidents, there were protests once again in Jammu.
जब तक वहाँ टारगेट किलिंग बंद नहीं होती है, जहाँ वहाँ के हालात नॉर्मल नहीं होते हैं, हमारे जितने भी मुलाजिम 24 डिपार्टमेंट के जो मुलाजिम हैं उनको जम्मू डिवीजन में डिप्लॉय करके उनकी सर्विस ली जाए और हमारी एक ट्रांसफर पॉलिसी बनाई जाए.
This Pandit family has never migrated from the valley. Today they were brutally targeted. Yet another targeted attack and yet another killing of innocent civilian in the valley. Sunil Kumar Bhatt was clearly killed because of who he was. 2 days ago, J&K's Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha talked about finishing militancy within 1 year. What followed was series of attacks. In Shopian, Nazir Masoodi, NDTV.
And sweets and pranams for Bilkis Bano case convicts. Outrage mounts after the early release of 11 men convicted in the gang rape of Bilkis Bano. During the Gujarat riots, Bilkis was gang raped and her 3-year-old daughter was among 14 killed by a mob on the 3rd of March in the year 2002 in one of the most horrific crimes one has heard of. The release of these men who got sweets and garlands when they left the prison comes despite an order from the centre that a remission of a sentence should not be granted to those who have been convicted of rape.
These images of 11 men convicted of rape and murder being fed laddus as they walked out of prison this Independence Day has sparked outrage. They were convicted for a horrific set of crimes. The gang rape of Bilkis Bano during the Gujarat riots and also for the murder of 7 members of her family including her 3-year-old daughter.
हमारे परिवार वालों को मारने लगे, सब पकड़ के कपड़े फाड़ डाले सबके, फिर सबको मार डाला मेरे सामने, फिर मैं बेहोश हो गई.
The punishment for the men? Life sentence. But the men who have spent over 14 years in prison were released as part of Gujarat government policy which allows prisoners who have served over 14 years to apply for early release. Their release has shocked Bilkis's lawyer who was part of a long and hard battle for justice.
There is no reasoning in the judgment, so to say, why not 14, why not 2022? Why Gujarat? Why not CBI? Because this is a CBI prosecuting a case, CBI investigated, CBI prosecuted, that too after the investigation being transferred by Supreme Court to CBI.
The Congress has pointed out the hypocrisy of the release.
प्रधानमंत्री के मुंह से निकले गए उन नारी सम्मान, नारी शक्ति के शब्दों के बाद कुछ घंटों बाद यही अभियुक्त मिले थे इन्हें रिहा करने के लिए, जो कि बलात्कार जैसे गंभीर संगीन आरोप में अभियुक्त बने हों। तो यह तो सोच समझ कर किया गया है।
But even as these men walked out, Union Home Ministry documents showed that the centre may in fact not be in favor of releasing those accused of rape or those sentenced to life imprisonment. A Home Ministry document from June this year shows that the centre issued guidelines to states proposing a special release policy for convicted prisoners to coincide with the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Amongst the categories of prisoners that were not to be released under the special release policy were those sentenced to life imprisonment and those convicted of rape. The accused in the Bilkis Bano case were in all probability not released under this policy and were released as per an older Gujarat state government policy in keeping with the Supreme Court order. But the centre's guidelines does establish that the centre is opposed to releasing rape convicts and those sentenced to life imprisonment. NDTV Bureau Report.
And even as India marks 75 years of independence, the news of the murder of a 9-year-old boy in Rajasthan belonging to the SC/ST community is a story that should shake all of us. The 9-year-old had suffered injuries on his eye and ear after his teacher allegedly thrashed him for drinking water from a pot, those made for the so-called upper castes. He died in hospital last week. All he wanted was water, but his father has said in his police complaint that the teacher, Chair Singh, abused his son with casteist slurs and then proceeded to beat him. It has also become a huge political controversy, with Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot facing the heat from the opposition and well within his own party.
हमें चाहते हैं कि इस दुख की घड़ी में हम सब उनके साथ खड़े रहें। बात राहुल गांधी जी की नहीं है, चाहे कांग्रेस पार्टी हो, चाहे कोई व्यक्ति हो, इसमें राजनीति करना उचित नहीं है। लेकिन जो घटना हुई है उसका संज्ञान लेकर उस पर उचित कार्रवाई करनी पड़ेगी और भविष्य में खासकर हमारे दलित आदिवासी समाज के लोग, भाइयों बहनों को, परिवारों को ऐसा ना लगे कि उनके लिए जो हम लोगों ने प्रावधान करे हैं वो कहीं कमजोर हैं। तो इस प्रकार की घटनाओं से बहुत मनोबल कमजोर होता है, लेकिन हम सब साथ खड़े हैं दलित समाज के और उन सब लोगों को न्याय दिलाने के लिए कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ेंगे। जो मदद है, सहायता है, सहयोग है, वो भी हम लोग करवाएंगे। लेकिन आज तो इस दुख को बांटने के लिए हम लोग यहाँ पर आए हैं।
जो जालौर में घटना हुई है बेहद निंदनीय है, बहुत ही घटिया हरकत है। वहाँ पर एक बच्चे की जान ले ली गई। इस तरह से इस मानसिकता को तोड़ना पड़ेगा। लेकिन ये अकेली घटना नहीं है, ये घटना राजस्थान के अंदर हर रोज हो रही है और हर रोज इसलिए हो रही है क्योंकि बार बार जो जिम्मेदारी राज्य सरकार की है वो जिम्मेदारी राज्य सरकार नहीं निभा रही। गहलोत साहब ने जालौर की घटना पे क्या कहा? उन्होंने कहा ये तो छोटी सी बात है।
All right, and staying with news from Jammu and Kashmir, breaking news just coming in. Senior Congress leader Ghulam Nabi Azad has resigned from the party's campaign committee for Jammu and Kashmir hours after he was appointed as the chairman. So breaking news just coming in from J&K Congress. Ghulam Nabi Azad, the senior Congress leader, has resigned from the party's campaign committee. For more on this, let's go straight across to NDTV's Nazir Masoodi. Nazir, there is rift well within the J&K Congress. What more can you share with us?
Well, there's rift, there's revolt, and Ghulam Nabi Azad has resigned hours after he was appointed as the chairman of the campaign committee for Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory and also member of the political affairs committee for the Jammu and Kashmir Congress committee. Looks like Azad is unhappy because he is already the member of the political affairs committee of All India Congress. So he actually sees it as kind of a demotion for him. And then there are other people who are unhappy over the new body which Congress has formed in Jammu and Kashmir. One of the what is believed to be junior members of the party, Vikar Rasool Wani, is a former MLA. He has been appointed as new president of Jammu and Kashmir Congress Committee, and there's a new body. So some of the leaders have reportedly resigned from the Congress's membership. So revolt within the Congress, and Ghulam Nabi Azad, senior Congress leader, who has been the leader of the opposition, who has been
General Secretary for many years for the Congress, was appointed as the campaign chairman for J&K, and the member of Political Affairs Committee of J&K has resigned hours after this new appointment. Today, really revolt and rebellion and resentment within the Congress ranks in Jammu and Kashmir.
Right. Nazir, a quick question for the benefit of our viewers. I know you mentioned this, but his resignation from the committee has come hours after he was appointed as the chairman. But tell us, why is Ghulam Nabi Azad really unhappy with the party, and why is there a revolt really within the Congress now, in the J&K Congress specifically?
Well, look, Ghulam Nabi Azad, we all know, is one of the senior most leaders of the Congress party, and he has held very important positions, including National General Secretary of the party and also ministers in the different governments, and also leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha as well. So he's, what we believe, have been told by the sources, he sees it as a kind of, demotion for himself, that the person who has held very important positions at all their levels for the Congress is being given the charge of, for example, is the member of National Political Affairs Committee member. Now here he has been made the member of the Political Affairs Committee in Jammu and Kashmir, which is headed by another political leader, Tariq Hamid Karab of Congress. He has also been made chairman of the committee, campaign committee, which he feels has not accepted. Whatever would be the background story, the fact is it is a challenge for the Congress. Congress is facing rebellion in Jammu and Kashmir, as there were reports that the state union territory may finally prepare for the assembly elections later this year or maybe next year.
All right, Nazir, thanks very much for joining us with those details. So, like you mentioned, like Nazir was saying, a revolt and a rift within the Jammu and Kashmir Congress over there. We will be tracking the details of it, but thanks very much, Nazir, for staying with us on that. Shifting focus to other political news in the country, Karnataka minister's comments leaked to the press on Tuesday early morning caused new embarrassment to Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai, who confirmed that the comments are authentic but taken out of context. I quote, "We are not running the government, we are just managing it," Karnataka Law Minister J.C. Madhuswamy is heard saying in the audio clip. Now, this is a fresh blow to the Bommai government. Take a look.
A fresh controversy for Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai. In a purported audio leak, his Law Minister J.C. Madhuswamy is heard telling a social worker that the BJP government in Karnataka is not being run, just simply being managed.
ಸರ್ಕಾರ ನಡೀತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
ಸರ್
ಸಲೀಸ್ ಸಾಕಿ 8 ತಿಂಗಳು ಅಂತ
ಸರ್
ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಕಣಪ್ಪ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಾವು.
The comments made by the minister came after the social worker complained to the minister about farmers being charged high interest by the bank.
ಹೌದು
ಸರ್, ನಮಸ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಭಾಸ್ಕರ್ ಅಂತ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ ಚನ್ನಪಟ್ಟಣದಿಂದ ಸರ್. ಸರ್, ಇದು VSSN ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 50,000 ಸಾಲ ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ರೈತರು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ರಿನ್ಯೂವಲ್ಗೆ ಅನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು 1,300 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ನವರೇ ಸಿಬ್ಬಂದಿಗಳೇ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅವರೇ ಫುಲ್ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ನ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆ 1,300 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಬಡ್ಡಿಗೆ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂತ ಇದಾರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಲ್ ಓವರ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲೇ.
ಏನಪ್ಪ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನನಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತು.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್,
ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಸನ್ಮಾನ್ಯ ಸೋಮಶೇಖರ್ ಗಮನಕ್ಕೆ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ.
ಸರ್,
ಬಡ್ಡಿ ಹೊಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ತಿಂತಾವ್ರೆ, ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಶೇರ್ಸ್ ತಗರ್ತಾವ್ರೆ, ಅದ್ರೂ ಬಡ್ಡಿ ಕಟ್ಟಿಸ್ಕೊಂತಾವ್ರೆ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ.
ಸರ್,
ಅವ್ರೇನು ಕ್ರಮ ಜರುಗಿಸ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ.
This at a time when the Chief Minister has been rocked by allegations of being a puppet Chief Minister, serving his time till he is replaced. The BJP has denied this, as has the Chief Minister. But the Law Minister's audio has revived the controversy. Speaking to the press, Mr. Bommai acknowledged the tape, but played down its implications.
ಅದು ಬೇರೆ ಕಂಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಾನು ಅವರ ಹತ್ರ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆ ಕಂಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟೇ ಬೇರೆ, ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ತಪ್ಪರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂಥ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದು 3 ತಿಂಗಳಿಂದ ಕೋಆಪರೇಟಿವ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿದೆ, ಏನೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. I will talk to all of them, it will be settled.
J.C. Madhuswamy, the Law Minister, speaking to reporters, said he was provoked by the social worker to say that there's no government.
ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆಯಪ್ಪ, ಅವ್ರು ಅಂದಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಅಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಮರೆ. ಆ ಪ್ರೊವೊಕೇಶನ್ ಅವನೇನು ಅಂದಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಮಧ್ಯೆ, ಹೂ ಕಂಬಿಡಪ್ಪ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ನಡೀತಿಲ್ಲ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ನು ಯಾವ್ದು ಎಡಿಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ನೋ ಯಾವ್ದು ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ ನನಗೆ ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತು ಹೇಳ್ರಿ.
But other BJP ministers have asked for the law minister to quit.
ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅನ್ನಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಕೂಡಲೇ ಸಚಿವ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಆ ಹೇಳಿಕೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸರ್ಕಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಭಾಗ, ಕ್ಯಾಬಿನೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಅಂಶದಲ್ಲೂ ಅವರು ಭಾಗವಹಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲೂ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಏನಾರ ಹೇಳಿಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಪಾಲ್ದಾರ.
The Congress repeated its puppet CM allegations.
Madhuswamy has spoken the truth that there is no government, we are just pulling along. The message is clear. The people are fed up with the BJP government in Karnataka.
Law Minister J.C. Madhuswamy's brazen comments on not functioning of the government brings the question back to whether there will be a leadership change or not. However, once again, Bommai has stepped in for a damage control. In Bengaluru, with camera person Govind Murthy, Shrija for NDTV.
More political news from Bihar. The Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar expanded his cabinet on Tuesday, with the biggest chunk of seats going to alliance partner Rashtriya Janata Dal, the RJD. While a total of 31 ministers were inducted into the Bihar cabinet on Tuesday, the biggest headline was the significant markup for Deputy CM Tejasvi Yadav in the government and somewhat of a demotion for his elder brother Tej Pratap Yadav, who handled crucial portfolios like health in 2015 to 2017. This is the Mahagathbandhan government.
As the new ministry was sworn in for the new alliance in Bihar, a big markup for Deputy Chief Minister Tejasvi Yadav and a demotion for his elder brother Tej Pratap Yadav. Tejasvi has been given 4 crucial ministries, an upgrade from last time. But Tej Pratap, who had 3 ministries in 2015, gets just 1 ministry, Environment.
Tej Pratap's demotion is also a clear signal that Tejasvi is now in charge in the RJD. Sources say the allocation is also a reflection of Mr. Tej Pratap's track record as health minister between 2015 to 2017, when the opposition BJP always used to accuse him of reluctant minister.
ये सरकार गरीब की सरकार है, जनता की सरकार है और महागठबंधन की सरकार है, जिसका नेतृत्व नीतीश कुमार जी कर रहे हैं और हम सब लोग मिलकर के इस सरकार को बखूबी ढंग से चलाने का काम करेंगे. और जब से नई सरकार का गठन हुआ है तब से मुद्दों की बात हो रही है, रोजगार की बात हो रही है, तो ये खुशी की बात है.
Overall, over 30 ministers took oath today in batches of 5. The RJD, as the bigger party, got 16, the JDU got 11. Though Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has retained the home portfolio, meaning the police continues reporting to him, a key development considering the BJP's Jungle Raj Babs at the RJD. The party has also got the key finance portfolio. The BJP, though, was critical.
बिहार की जनता के साथ विश्वासघात हुआ है, बिहार की भाजपा के साथ विश्वासघात हुआ है, बिहार के विकास के साथ विश्वासघात हुआ है और इस विश्वासघात पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी कदापि चुप नहीं रहने वाली. सड़क से सदन तक हम संघर्ष करने वाले हैं.
As always, the social mix of the cabinet reflected the alliance's political priorities. 70s are OBCs or from the extremely backward caste subgrouping, including 8 Yadav ministers. 5 ministers are Muslims, 5 ministers are from the scheduled castes, while only 6 are from the upper castes. Caste equations apart, the big challenge for the Nitish Kumar, Tejasvi Yadav government will be to perform in the next 2 years. With Habib Ali and Manish Kumar, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Delhi is reporting a spike in COVID cases and the positivity rate is now touching nearly 20%. Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia on Tuesday said that people who have taken the booster dose of vaccines are safer from the coronavirus infection than the rest. The positivity rate in the national capital is now nearing 20%. In just the last 24 hours, it has reported 917 new COVID cases and like I mentioned, the positivity rate is nearing 20%. This at a time when the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi has tweeted marking a caution, saying that we are witnessing a rise in COVID-19 infections, consistently high positivity and cases of infection. It is essential that we realize that the pandemic is far from over. I appeal to all strictly to adhere to the COVID appropriate behavior. We cannot afford to let our guards down.
Situation about which we need to be cautious. I will not say that it's for everybody to be panicking around. We need to be cautious about the situation and keeping the whole thing into consideration. And you mentioned there are deaths also. I'd like to add to that also that there are 65 people who are on ventilation as well.
All right, and your morning cup of tea and coffee just got a little more expensive. Leading milk suppliers Amul and Mother Dairy will increase milk prices by 2 rupees per litre with effect from Wednesday on account of rising input costs. This is the second hike by Amul and Mother Dairy in just nearly 6 months. In the beginning of March, both had increased milk prices by 2 rupees per litre. Mother Dairy blames heat wave and extended summer for higher feed and fodder costs. And more international headlines. China will not be allowed to use the southern port of the Hambantota for military purposes, Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe has said, apparently attempting to allay fears in India and the US about China's increasing maritime presence in the region. The Yuan Wong 5 docked at Sri Lanka's Chinese-run southern port of Hambantota on Tuesday after a U-turn from Sri Lanka. And with that, it is a wrap from all of us on this bulletin, but stay tuned to NDTV for all the latest.